North Korea remains one of the most isolated and mysterious nations on Earth. Officially known as the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, this small country on the Korean peninsula has maintained an iron curtain around itself for over 7 decades, creating a society that operates by rules fundamentally different from the rest of the world. The story of North Korea begins in the aftermath of World War II. When Japan's colonial rule over Korea ended in 1945, the Korean peninsula was divided along the 38th parallel. The Soviet Union occupied the north, while the United States took control of the south. This temporary division became permanent when 2 separate governments were established in 1948. Kim Il-sung, backed by the Soviet Union, became the leader of North Korea. The Korean War, which lasted from 1950 to 1953, cemented this division. The conflict was devastating, resulting in millions of deaths and the complete destruction of much of the peninsula's infrastructure. When the armistice was signed, no peace treaty followed. Technically, North and South Korea remain at war to this day, separated by one of the most heavily militarized borders in the world, the Demilitarized Zone, or DMZ. Kim Il-sung ruled North Korea until his death in 1994, establishing a cult of personality unlike anything seen in modern history. He created an ideology called Juche, which emphasizes self-reliance and independence. This philosophy became the foundation of North Korean society, justifying the country's isolation and its rejection of outside influence. What makes North Korea truly unique is its system of hereditary communist rule. When Kim Il-sung died, his son Kim Jong-il took power, marking the first dynastic succession in a communist state. Kim Jong-il ruled until his death in 2011, when his son Kim Jong-un assumed control. This 3-generation dictatorship has created a system where the Kim family is worshipped almost as deities. Life inside North Korea is difficult to comprehend for outsiders. The country operates under a strict caste system called Songbun, which classifies citizens based on their family's political loyalty. This classification determines where you can live, what job you can have, and even how much food you receive. Those with bad songbun, perhaps because a grandfather defected or was accused of disloyalty, face discrimination that spans generations. The capital city, Pyongyang, is a showcase city where only the most loyal and privileged citizens are allowed to live. Its wide boulevards, monuments, and apartment blocks create an image of prosperity, but this is far from the reality for most North Koreans. Outside Pyongyang, many people struggle with poverty, food shortages, and lack of basic services. Information control is absolute in North Korea. There is no free press, no internet access for ordinary citizens, and no way to legally communicate with the outside world. All media is state-controlled, with newspapers, television, and radio broadcasting only approved content that glorifies the leadership and the state. North Koreans grow up learning a completely different version of history, where the Kim family are heroic figures who single-handedly defeated Japan and America. The education system reinforces this propaganda from kindergarten through university. Children learn to revere the Kim family before they learn to read. School textbooks contain math problems about killing American soldiers. Students spend countless hours studying the supposed achievements and wisdom of the country's leaders. Perhaps most shocking is the public execution system and the network of political prison camps. Estimates suggest that between 80,000 and 120,000 people are imprisoned in these camps, where they face forced labor, torture, and execution. Entire families can be imprisoned for one member's alleged crimes, following the principle of guilt by association that extends to 3 generations. The famine of the 1990s, known as the Arduous March, revealed the fragility of North Korea's system. Economic mismanagement, the loss of Soviet support, and natural disasters combined to create a catastrophe that killed hundreds of thousands, possibly millions. The government's failure to feed its people led to the emergence of black markets, which now form a crucial part of the economy despite being technically illegal. These markets, called Jongmadang, have created subtle changes in North Korean society. They've given some people, especially women who dominate market trading, a degree of economic independence. Foreign goods, smuggled from China, have appeared in these markets, including USB drives containing South Korean dramas and movies. This exposure to outside culture, however limited, has begun to chip away at the regime's information monopoly. North Korea's nuclear weapons program has made it a global security concern. Despite international sanctions and condemnation, the country has conducted multiple nuclear tests and continues to develop ballistic missiles. The regime views these weapons as essential for survival, a guarantee against foreign invasion. This nuclear ambition has led to cycles of tension and diplomacy, with the world watching nervously as this isolated nation develops weapons of mass destruction. The relationship between North and South Korea is complex and painful. Millions of families were separated by the Korean War, and most have never been able to reunite. Occasional family reunion programs allow a lucky few to meet their relatives, but these encounters are brief and heavily monitored. For most separated families, death comes before reunion. Defection from North Korea is extremely dangerous. Those who attempt to escape face being shot at the border, and if caught, can be sent to prison camps along with their families. Despite these risks, thousands have defected, most through China. Their testimonies provide much of what the outside world knows about life in North Korea. These defectors describe a system built on fear, where public loyalty must be absolute even as private doubts grow. The economy of North Korea is a puzzle. Official statistics are unreliable or unavailable, but the country is clearly one of the world's poorest. International sanctions, imposed because of the nuclear program and human rights abuses, have limited trade and economic development. China remains North Korea's primary economic partner, providing crucial food and energy supplies. Despite decades of isolation, some changes are occurring. Under Kim Jong-un, there has been slightly more openness to market activities and economic experimentation. Pyongyang has seen the construction of new apartment buildings, ski resorts, and water parks, suggesting that at least for the elite, life has improved. However, these developments serve primarily as propaganda showcases rather than representing genuine improvement for ordinary citizens. The question of what happens next in North Korea fascinates and worries observers worldwide. The regime has proven remarkably resilient, surviving the collapse of the Soviet Union, devastating famine, economic crisis, and international isolation. Some analysts predict eventual collapse, while others believe the system could persist for decades more. Technology may be changing North Korea in ways the regime cannot fully control. Despite strict restrictions, illegal Chinese cell phones operate near the border, allowing some North Koreans to make calls outside the country. USB drives and SD cards containing foreign media circulate through black markets. Young people, in particular, are increasingly exposed to information about the outside world. The human cost of North Korea's isolation is immeasurable. An entire population has lived for 3 generations under one of the world's most oppressive regimes. Basic human rights that people elsewhere take for granted, such as freedom of movement, freedom of speech, and freedom of thought, simply do not exist. Children grow up malnourished and indoctrinated, never knowing that life could be different. International organizations and human rights groups document North Korea's abuses, but changing the situation is extraordinarily difficult. The regime rejects outside criticism, viewing it as hostile interference. China's support provides economic lifeline and diplomatic protection, making international pressure less effective. Any potential solution must navigate the risks of humanitarian crisis, military conflict, and regional instability. For those watching from outside, North Korea serves as a reminder of how completely a society can be closed off and controlled. It demonstrates the extremes of authoritarian rule and the human capacity to adapt to even the most oppressive circumstances. It also raises profound questions about intervention, sovereignty, and the international community's responsibility toward populations living under such conditions. The future of North Korea remains uncertain. Will the regime eventually open up, following a path similar to China or Vietnam? Will it collapse suddenly like East Germany? Or will it continue as it has for decades, maintaining its grip through control, fear, and isolation? Whatever happens, the transformation of North Korea, when it comes, will be one of the most significant events of the 21st century. Until that day arrives, North Korea remains the country the world cannot see, a place where 25 million people live behind a curtain of secrecy and control. Their stories, their struggles, and their hopes remain largely hidden from view, making North Korea one of the great tragedies and mysteries of our time. The world watches and waits, hoping that one day, this hermit kingdom will finally open its doors and allow its people to join the rest of humanity in freedom.